Hey friends, welcome back to the Special Kind of Motherhood podcast. Have you found yourself really struggling with caring for yourself? Maybe you've just become so consumed with helping your child to overcome any kind of challenges or struggles that they have been facing currently that what you have noticed is that your health has really started to decline. I know I have had that same experience before, and today I want to share with you a little bit about my story and also why it's important for us to care for ourselves, the statistics behind actually what our health outcome could be as we are caregivers on a habitual basis. And then also I just want to share with you some encouragement and even a little bit of some ideas of things you can do to care for yourself and what I actually am doing this year in order to make sure that I am staying in good health in order to keep caring for my kids and giving the best to them as I possibly can. So let's go ahead and get started.
Hi friend, do you dream of having a garden but you don't know where to start? Do you want to switch to more natural products but feel overwhelmed by all the options? Do you believe that a holistic lifestyle would help your special needs kiddo but you're daunted by all the information out there? Welcome to the Special Kind of Motherhood podcast, where you will learn how to work towards your dream for homesteading, gardening, and holistic living in small, simple steps that won't overwhelm you. Hi, I'm Ashley. I'm a wife, Jesus follower, and mom to some amazing kids. As some of my kids began experiencing health struggles and developmental delays, I decided it was time to switch to a holistic lifestyle. I quickly became stressed out and burnt out, feeling like I needed to change everything at once. I finally realized that I had to start making one small change at a time, then build from there. I learned to walk this holistic journey in a way that works for me and my family, without stress or overwhelm or constantly feeling like I wasn't doing enough. If you're ready to hear from another mama who understands what it's like to have no time and who can help you make changes towards better health for your family in a way that works for your specific life, then this is the podcast for you. Pop in your earbuds, reheat your coffee for the third time, and let's do this.
All right, I'm just going to kind of go ahead and dive right in. I'm going to try to make this a relatively short episode, but I love to talk, so who knows, we'll see. Anyways, I just want to talk a little bit about this topic of caring for ourselves, mainly because it's something that I really had to come to grips with for my own health. I do have chronic health conditions, and I have really come up against the idea that if I don't care for myself, I really can't care for my kids well, whereas I was just constantly consumed with trying to help them and really noticed a decline in my own health. And this year, the Lord has really just brought it to my mind over and over again, how much keeping that habit in my life of caring for my kids and not really caring for myself at all, how much it's really impacting my health, my family, the dynamics of our home, and just really everything around us. And I've really had to come up with ways to be consistent in caring for myself. I do want to share, though, there are actually studies showing that if you are a caregiver on an everyday basis, you actually are more likely to have health struggles. You are more likely to have a weakened immune system, and you're also going to have a decreased ability to recover from illness. And a lot of that could just be because of the stress that caregiving can create in our lives. Many of you know that there's usually not a break. If you are fortunate enough to have a support system that will give you breaks, that's amazing. But a lot of you moms out there don't have that. You don't get a break. And that can really wear on the body, especially when we're not talking about a typically developing child. And so you may be having to do extra for them than what another mom who has a typically developing child has to do. And while absolutely caring for children in general is a very taxing job, it's a rewarding job, but it is taxing. Whenever you are also having to kind of play that caregiver role for a child that has some kind of disability, that just seems to amplify any kind of difficulty. And it also can be a lot more difficult to find help, to find support, because it can be a twofold thing. It can either be that we struggle with trusting people with our kids, which is absolutely understandable, especially if you have a child that's medically complex or that cannot, they're nonverbal, anything like that. It can just be very difficult. And also people may be intimidated and not really willing to watch your child because they don't know how to handle it. So all of that to say, the reality is if you are caring for a child that has some kind of disability or some kind of delay on a consistent basis, the likelihood that you are going to have more health challenges is very high. Like I said, there have been studies showing this to be true. And I've just had to come to this reality that I myself have an autoimmune disease. I have Hashimoto's thyroiditis. I have I had POTS before, dysautonomia. I have since recovered from that. But I've just had to realize that I have to take care of myself. I homeschool my kids, and we do all of this other stuff, and I want to be the best I can be at all of that. I want to be very present, very engaged, very creative when it comes to homeschooling my kids. I want to be able to get out in my garden and do all of the stuff that I need to do and that I want to do. But whenever I feel bad and I have low energy and I just feel crummy all of the time, it's very hard to show up in the way that I want to show up. And so for me, I've just had to realize that it's extremely important that I take care of myself. It has to be a top priority. Of course, caring for your children is always a priority. Like we are their caregivers. It is our job to make sure that their needs are met. But that does not mean that we can't also meet our own needs. And I'm not talking about getting out of the house for hours upon hours or, going to get your nails done. That's not even what I'm talking about. And I'm not talking about that for myself either. I'm just talking about basic needs for good health. Drinking enough water, making sure I'm eating enough. I'm eating consistently so my blood sugar stays stabilized, making sure that I'm not eating foods that bother me. For me, it's been becoming very serious about the fact that I do have an autoimmune condition. And while, yes, I have avoided gluten and different things like that for years, this year I've just had to really buckle down. And I told my husband, I'm tired of feeling bad. And I don't feel horrible. I definitely feel better than I have in the past, but I don't feel great, and I want to feel great. And so for me, what that has looked like is being very serious about what I'm eating. I've cut all grains out of my diet. I actually have even cut most things. I've just gone basically carnivore at this point, just to give myself a month or two to really reset my body, reset my immune system. I did have a lot of gluten during the holidays, and I felt horrible because of it. And I know better, but it's like we get to the point where we're just kind of exhausted and we're burnt out and we just don't care. And the problem is that we think, oh, well, I'm just going to not take care of myself. And we think it only affects us, but it actually doesn't, because it's very, very difficult to show up as a fun, excited, creative mom or a wife whenever you feel really bad all of the time. So this is just going to be a very short and simple episode, really just helping you encouraging you, I should say, as I'm encouraging myself along this journey. I have, since the beginning of January, I initially cut out all sugar, then I cut out all grains, and then I just finally said, you know what, I'm just going to go full in for a month, maybe 2 months. I'm just going to do strict carnivore, because there's just been so much showing how that can be very beneficial for people with autoimmune issues. And I'm just kind of tired of not feeling my best self. And so that's what I've decided to do. And what I want to encourage you with in this episode is to look at your own self, look at your own health, look at your own habits. Is there something that you have been just kind of letting slip because you are focusing on everyone else in your family? And you've kind of missed the fact that, hey, this is actually really impacting my health and the way that I feel every single day. And maybe I need to do something about it in order to make sure that I am my best, healthiest self. Because the thing for me, and I'm sure many of you can relate, some of my kids, I don't know how long they'll live with me. I don't know if they'll live with me indefinitely. And I need to be the healthiest I can be in order to be active and involved and present for them as they age. It's extremely important to me. And I do understand being a chronic caregiver does have the risk of more health issues. And I also understand I have my own health issues to begin with. So I have to take it serious, and I have to just say, this is just the way I'm going to have to live life. This is the body I have. This is what the Lord has given me. These are the things I am struggling with. Yes, I have an autoimmune thing that I'm going to have to be more sensitive. I'm probably not going to be able to eat grains for a very long time, or maybe never. And I've just had to come to the place of accepting that that's totally okay, because guess what? The trade-off is that I actually get to be well for my family. And it's absolutely worth giving up grains or sugar or whatever it is I have to do in order to do that. And I want to just hear from you. What is the one thing? And that's what was really important for me, was starting with one thing. I started with sugar. Then when I felt like I had a good handle on that, I moved to grains, because that was what I knew I needed to move to next, because I'd already been doing gluten-free, but I had not cut out all grains. And then when I felt like, okay, I have a good handle on this, I decided I'm just going to go ahead and do this full carnivore for a month or two and see where I'm at, and then reevaluate from there. I won't stay on a carnivore diet indefinitely. It's not going to be sustainable for me, which is totally fine because that's not my goal. My goal is just to reset my body, lower inflammation, and begin to feel better, and then add back in food so I can see what is actually bothering me and what's not. So I just want to hear from you. What is that one thing that you feel like you really want to commit to working towards improving your health? It's the thing in that you know you're either not doing or you are doing. Like maybe you're not getting enough rest. Maybe you're not getting enough water every single day. Maybe like me, you needed to give up sugar because you're dealing with a lot of chronic inflammation and you know that it's only making the problem worse. Maybe it could be that you actually need to start exercising. There are just so many different things, but I encourage you to start with one thing. Head over to our free Facebook community, bit.ly/motherhood community, and share with us what the one thing is that you feel like you need to work on in order to prioritize your own health and be present and available for your family and just to feel well, to feel good. There is nothing like feeling well, feeling happy, feeling joyful. And I think that the fact that we can really impact so much of how we feel based off of what we eat and the habits that we partake in, it's just amazing that we have that kind of control to actually say, wow, I can decide today to make a major difference in my health and in how I feel. And I really think that that is a gift from God. He gives us that ability where we can actually see that the choices we make have impact, not just on ourselves, but on our entire families. Okay, well, this is all that I have for this episode. I cannot wait to hear from you. Head over to our Facebook community and share with us there. I hope you guys have a wonderful week, and I will see you back next time.
Hey Mama, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If so, would you take 30 seconds to share this with a friend who is wanting to live more holistically without the overwhelm? Also, don't forget to head over to Apple Podcasts to leave me a review. It blesses and encourages me to know that this show is helping you. All right, friends, it's time for me to go work in the garden and make some homemade bone broth. I will see you back next week.